Mark
Hey,
doesn't like
welcome
pigeons.
everybody to Battle Pirate's Crib. We're going to talk about Death Before Dishonor. I think we've learned quite a few things since the Wednesday show. We're also going to get into BP next week. But let's say the link is in the right-hand side in case anybody'd like to join the show. We still have space. Magic Mike.
Hi, everybody.
The Saint.
G'day, everyone.
Crypto.
G'day all.
Derpy.
Yeah, for some reason I'm not allowed to fly anymore.
Yeah, well, I don't know. As far as the, is it mad cow disease?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
I thought it was pigs that flew, not cows.
Well, that's why I'm not allowed to.
All right. Well, let's move ahead to the calendar. Bug fixes, nothing new since Wednesday. Yeah, it seems that pretty much everything that was in the CM diary for this week, besides the raid, is some of it's going to happen next week. The contest, there's potentially no designer diary this month, and the stat compression is going to show up at some later time. The other thing that we learned is as far as on the right-hand side for January skirmish TLC, that is going to be this coming Wednesday, which we'll see in BP next week, and we'll discuss it more at that point.
So right after the raid. So don't start my flag upgrade when the raid ends.
Correct. And we'll see that in the next slide. Oh, not the next slide, but yeah, just a reminder, everybody, this is our only data point as far as when you should expect Outpost 12. I know I've said this multiple times, but it's just good for people to know. So, and we had the same release of the early prerequisite builds that occurred in December of 2019. So I guess there's really no expectation that it would be that different, or at least earlier. So, all right, let's move on. All right. Next week, we're going to have the new FM, which includes armor for the next siege cycle. We're dropping a target, adding a target, the normal thing that happens after the raid. And we're going to have Return to Honor, which is important for everybody because it has 8 Ronin build tokens and 5 upgrade tokens. So the 5 upgrade tokens are probably the most important for people. And anybody here have Ronins that were semi-capable last time this TLC ran?
No.
Okay. I've seen people do it. I'm not sure all of the ins and outs of it, but it's very fast and almost not damage free, but close to damage free if you use your Ronins. So
yeah, TSM did a video with only 4 Ronins last time, and he was doing it pretty quickly.
Okay.
And that was without the flag. So Derpy, I think you could even put your flag onto upgrade if you wanted to.
With I missed that bit. What do I have to do?
No, I'm just saying. TSM put out a video of the TLC before he had the flag, and he was doing it then for pretty quick repair. So if you did want to upgrade your flag, I think you could still put it on and still be able to do it with four Ronins.
Yeah,
but I mean, I've got a month. I've got a month to do the entire fleet, so I'll just do it in the second half.
Yep.
But good tips regardless.
Yeah, and the other thing is that VXP weekend is the other reason that you might want to keep your Ronin fleet available. And, if you have time available, it really depends on your priorities. If you're low on Defender VXP tokens, I'm sure the flag is going to help as far as hitting that target and getting the 3 Defender VXP tokens that will drop out of it. So that's the other reason. Personally, I'm going to be working on Everest upgrades during this point. Wipe all this stuff out pretty quickly, and then throw them into upgrade after I'm done with the TLC and whatever I need out of VXP weekend, and then switch to the Ronins and then do the FM with my newly upgraded, and I'll probably take the mortars and use some combination of the 12-hour and one day. I have tons of Everest tokens, and I would recommend not putting the Everest, putting the new avalanche mortars on the flag, because the way most people have built them, they do much less damage. So I would recommend putting them on any of your back ships, which are, if you're built them like a lot of people have, do much more damage than your flag, because the flag has been tuned to do to be a countermeasure ship. If that makes sense to everybody.
Yeah, makes sense. Agree. And I don't think it makes any difference whether you put them all on one ship or spread them out across the 4 back ships. But if you put them all on one, at least you can use tokens to do them quicker.
Yeah, and that's the reason I might put them all on one. It really depends on how the tokens line out. And through, I assume it was through like 12 Days of Christmas or some other event, we have a lot of 12-hour. I forget how we got them. We have a lot of 12-hour tokens as well. What was that? Was it? No, it was something else. It was some event. What was it? No, it wasn't. It was something prior to the 12 Days of Christmas, where we were either getting photon tokens or photon flag tokens or Everest tokens or Everest flag tokens.
Was it Shot?
No, wasn't that the once a week when we got them?
Yeah, was it the November stimulus package?
I think that's what it was, where we got them once a week, and you got a combination of 12 hours of various things.
Yeah. That's what you're right. It's every day we would get repair tokens, I think, and resources, and then on Fridays we would get the ship tokens, the ship build tokens.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind as far as how you plan it out. I mean, I'm just gonna time it out and what makes the most sense so I can get them done with minimal dock time, because like you said, I don't think it matters if it, as long as they don't go on the flag, doesn't really matter where you put them.
Yep.
Hey, TSM and everybody. Okay, that's about it with BP next week. So Death Before Dishonor. Yeah, let's talk about this. Today, you notice that there's a message above the game that says they've changed the X1 to increase the damage of the built-in weapon for the flag. This is only at X1. This is what you see on the right-hand side, which adds +5 salvo and +20 slow. And we talked about it as soon as we saw it on the Wednesday show, before anybody actually even had it. The fact that this makes it a less powerful weapon, unless you bring in the fact that you get 5 more salvos that are throwing out slowdown auras. But it actually reduces the power of the weapon, because you're increasing the cycle time by a second, and you're also spacing out the damage. Instead of giving the 3.5 million, depending on splash and whatnot, in one shot, it's all spread out over a second, for each individual salvo that takes 0.2 seconds. But one more click. All right. They have added a new stat. I don't know why. Salvo potential damage of times 2.5. We're not completely certain what this means. We don't understand why they didn't take the damage from the weapon and just change it from 3.5 to 8.75. And I haven't really got.
It's my understanding that this just effectively multiplies your damage. That your projectile in its stat block, it effectively multiplies that by 2.5.
Okay.
It might multiply it by 3.5 instead. I'm unclear on that. But because it's a splash weapon, it's not always going to hit with the same as close. So it's not always going to do as much damage. Is
But
my
that doesn't matter.
understanding.
Well, that's what
it's my understanding from what Gilly posted here that that's what that means. I have no other idea what she could be saying there or what the design team could be telling her and she's saying based off that.
Yeah, because wouldn't they? We're assuming we're talking about splash fall off because it has a. I forget. Is it the splash of 40? Could you step it one back so I can see what that says? One backwards. Yeah, it's a splash of 40. You can go back to forward. That's a fairly large splash number. So unless there's two different things that I thought about. One is there's significant splash fall off, meaning the center of it does the most splash and then it falls off. Or the enemy that we're encountering has splash dispersion, specials, armors, abilities, whatever. But why would this matter if it's 6 salvos or 1?
Because you hit the thing slightly later because it fires a shot, waits 0.2 seconds, fires another shot. So
is it firing at the same spot that it originally fired?
I don't know. I assume so. I don't know because I don't have X1. It might not. I don't know. It's the clarification for the stat block makes it more unclear and doesn't actually answer the question.
Yeah, it's confusing. Yeah, Lego. This is for the flag only. The flag is the only one that has the built-in weapons. 2 weapons actually. So, and that was one of the interesting things I found as far as once we get to the targets, because like I said, I think we've learned a lot about the targets since we were on Wednesday. But we talked about on Wednesday. This is it's generally making the weapon less powerful in regards to damage, and I guess that's what this adjustment is for. Is the fact that you've reduced by getting X1 you've lessened the damage that this weapon does, but potentially increasing
So how does X1 lessen the damage it does again? As a reminder to everyone watching.
Okay. The way that cycle time, I call it cycle time. You see that the reload is 2.4, and that cannot be changed by anything. Not in this instance with this built-in weapon on this on the Ronin. It's 2.4, can't be changed by anything. So after the first salvo, every salvo after that adds 0.2 seconds. So it'll fire the first shot, wait 0.2 seconds, fire the second shot, third shot, fourth shot, fifth shot, sixth shot. So because it's spread it out over 6 shots instead of 1, the next time it fires, instead of 2.4 seconds, it's going to be 3.4 seconds. In addition to the fact that you've lowered the DPS in such a manner, you aren't immediately doing the 3.5 million with that first shot. So now it's spread that damage, that 3.5 over a second, as opposed to be done immediately. So both of those things work to lower the damage that the weapon does over time. Does that make sense, Drippy? Is that what you wanted me to say?
Does. So your damage is the same, but it takes longer to go through the entire process of shooting and reloading. So to compensate, they've increased the damage by some amount, which you can see the quote on screen there.
Yeah. So, So I just don't know why that they, because that was a big question on Wednesday. Why are they adding +5? It just seems like something they should have figured out like right away before they even put it out. That doesn't make sense without increasing the damage. So, okay. Alrighty, let's move on. I don't know if we have anything to say about this besides I'm claiming I chose to claim these last. So if you are on the fringe of and 10 days worth of tokens is far from the fringe, but if you want to do it for your normal ships, is to wait on these, upgrade your Ronins with the available 10 days of tokens, then go back and start claiming these with more effective ships. Okay. All right. Okay, we had some interesting things here. I've seen some of your videos, and I saw TSM's videos. The 512 just seems to be a much more obtainable target than we thought before. Are you the one of the ones that are doing it for pretty much instant repair in the?
Yes, I've done the 512 for 24 minutes damage, and it was really close to instant in base.
Okay. And you have what's the condition of your ships at this point?
My ships are all fully built. The flagship and one ship are at U2. The other 3 are at U3.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, but I somewhere along the line, I thought you said, don't bother doing these unless you've already done the 604 to get the full bonus.
Yeah, I would, if I were the general player, I would probably hit both the 604 and the 512.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're both fairly doable targets. Now, obviously, if you've got 3 photons at U0, it's probably just not worth not doing the 604 and just stick to the 150 and 152 is what I would say.
Okay. But are you getting much less damage in the 152?
I'm getting about the same damage, and the 152 gets me if I do the 152 right, and the 150, I get 500,000 each on average each target.
Yeah.
And how much does the 150 does the 512 pay out? That pays out 500,000.
Yeah.
So I guess it might be okay to hit that one just for the points, even if you don't have photons.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that it takes less time to hit the 512 than hit the 150 and the 152.
You might be right on that.
Okay. Yeah, so it might, it's a little longer of a target, and if you don't have the patience to hit it, or you're a little afraid of it. But the other one that you were hitting was the 604, correct? You were hitting that earlier on.
Now, I can't remember if we've seen that target before.
It looks similar to some previous targets, but this one you have X1 photons.
They're not all X1 now.
Okay. But you were able to do this one for
15 minutes damage on map, which might be like 8 minutes on the flag.
Yeah, most of the damage goes onto the flag, doesn't it, on that target? The rest of them are instant repair in the dock, but there's just a few minutes on the flag generally.
Yeah. So if you are spending time, repairing your Ronins, it seems like, especially with the length of some of these targets, it seems like you could hit a 604, instant repair all the back ships, set the flag to repair, and then hit the 512. And by the time you're out of the 512, your photon flag is repaired. pretty close to it, right?
That's an option. That's yes. In a word, yes.
Okay, and by hitting that makes the 512 worth $1 million. If you've already hit all the other three, so it would be $1 million for just.
It makes it worth 750K. I guess it's up to. I'd say it was worth 750K.
The 512. If you've already hit the 604, it's 500K for the target.
Yes, but you have to count half that set bonus into the 604 and half of it into the 512.
Yeah, I'm just saying if you've already hit the 604, but okay, it's all good. Okay. Let's move down to. Let's see what the next slide has for us. I don't think there's anything we've learned tremendously about this besides the fact that they're much easier to defend against if you have, if people already have some ships at U3 and you go out and like I've suggested earlier, buying the upgrade tokens, getting one ship to X1 makes it a little easier to defend against these, but I don't think this is where we've learned the most. So unless anybody else has anything on the prototype, I think there's more important ships afterwards.
The only thing about prototype is you need to be a bit careful when you kill it that it produces an ice field.
Mm.
And if you've got one of the Proto Nemesis coming towards you, you get stuck in that ice field a little bit and can get hit by their long-range rockets. But it's not a big thing. If you're keeping it kiting range, you should be further enough away that you don't get caught in that ice field anyway. Okay.
TSM, you're autoing the 604. What kind of damage are you getting on that?
That sounds painful.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ships in there.
Yeah. I saw that and I was like, it didn't intuitively make sense. So, but yeah. Just curious what kind of damage that is.
Yeah, I guess with the proto, the big thing for me is that I maybe haven't mentioned much anywhere is try and make it approach you from the direction of an ice field, cryo field if you can, so it slows down and doesn't get in your minimum range as quickly, especially if you don't have X1.
Do some of the targets, they slow down in the ice and some of them they don't?
Maybe the Proto Hunter doesn't and the regular one does. I can't quite tell.
I thought I noticed that with the 512 that the Proto Nemesis was going through the ice field without slowing down, but in the 150 and 152 it seemed to be slowing down. I'm not 100% sure, but I kind of thought I saw that.
Okay, because I see sometimes I see some of the ships slowing down. They all speed up through the oil, but sometimes they're slowing down through the ice and sometimes they're not. And I'm not sure if it's target.
Let's go ahead and check right about now.
Okay.
Let's see if I can pull these things over an ice field.
Oops.
It slows down slightly.
Okay, you're in a 512. Okay.
Yeah, they definitely slowed down there.
Yeah. So, like I said, I've seen them slow down, but sometimes they don't. So that's why I was.
I mean, it's not as much as slow as the regular one and the different targets, from what I'm remembering observing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can see that one right there. Definitely slows down, maybe a small percentage, but it is not moving as fast, and the orange debuff bar certainly does show up.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if it was the 152s or I'm not sure, but I've seen it doesn't seem to be consistent across the targets, or maybe I'm just not really. And this is not recommended.
You can do it when you're close to the ship, so the angle changes more quickly as your distance changes.
I'm just saying, it's generally not recommended.
I didn't take damage.
I know you got lucky, but I'm just saying in general.
That wasn't lucky.
Okay. What I'm saying is, don't go through the ice when there is a smart torpedo after you, or else chances are
you can do it if you're close.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other thing I wanted to say about the smart torpedoes, but we'll wait for the Nighthawk section about that. But because you're better off going towards them as opposed to away from them at an angle, because you're giving them, they have awful turn speeds. So if you're going towards them, but if you're running away from them and trying to turn, it gives them a chance to catch up if you're doing both at the same time.
Hold on, I need to make sure this guy doesn't run through the oil slick, and instead I'm going to pull him over the ice one, and I can just stop right here, and I won't even have to move, and I shouldn't take any damage. Yeah, I'll move. It was close. But pull him across the ice field if you can.
Yeah.
And then do you want me to... I'll kill this proto here. And the idea
the thing I wanted to bring up, I was going to do individual slides, but the thing about the proto is it seems like there's two ways to approach it. In the strategy guide, they said to get close to them in order to reduce the damage. But you also see if you stay at maximum distance and go perpendicular, it appears that you're outrunning all the damage.
Well, let's try that one.
Yeah, I've noticed that too, where you actually tend to outrun the damage.
Yeah, as long as you're going.
Took a small amount there, but you can see my bar is mostly still green.
Yeah. And you also were, yeah. I mean, I think that's what they meant, but at some point where they said take advantage of the, the obstacles or whatnot, the environment. You know, as long as you're going perpendicular, they're landing way behind you. See, but when you made that turn, they're going to get you. So it's tricky. What I've been doing is I've been attacking them at an angle. So I first, I'm moving perpendicular to them. So I get one of the flagship arcs weapon to fire at them. And then I move in to go close, and then I twist on them. So I'm hitting them with the other weapon on the other side because, you know, they have separate reloads. It's two different weapons. They both have a reload of 2.4, but if you go in and twist on them, you're hitting them with do a quick twist, you're hitting them with the second weapon.
Yeah, I've been doing a little bit of that. Like I'll get really close and spin around, so I do fire with the other side.
Yeah.
But I have taken a little bit of damage trying to do that whole outrunning business. Yeah, I should not be approaching it from directly behind here. This is not recommended for sure because it's the same speed as me. I can't catch him. And now I've gone ahead and triggered a bunch of other things.
Yeah, now you're in the you're in the ice, but it didn't catch you. So okay. All right. Is there I don't know, should we demonstrate the Nighthawk's up-down cycle relative to the torpedo launch, relative to the depth charge? If you watch it, you'll see it's coming into range. Well, he's going to kill it, so I mean, and that's going to be a mess dealing with him in the ice. See, it's going to surface here. Well, it's hard to even tell.
It surfaced, and then it just fired a few seconds later, and then goes underwater.
Yeah.
Let's wait till it gets out here.
Okay. It popped out. It's submerged, and we're looking at that Nighthawk, and submerge, pops up, and then right before it submerges again. Well, yours. Okay.
Yes, it's not an exact cycle.
Yeah, it's not, because sometimes it really depends, I guess, how long they've been around. Because I've seen a lot of them, at least the way I hit a lot of the 152s, like it pops out and then it goes immediately down.
Yeah, I'm not sure what affects that. It's off by half a second, so it gets longer every time. But I can't quite tell either.
Yeah. And as far as the two most fearsome things in these targets is the smart torpedoes and the Nighthawk depth charges. Everything else is, I consider, moderate damage. Those would be the ones I could call high or extremely high. But getting hit by those two is not good. You can just watch your total fleet health bar just drop if you get hit by either one of those. So the Nighthawk is the one I find to be the most potentially damaging. So, all right, you're almost done with this. But yeah, also you see the way that you almost can come to a stop if you're only dealing with the prototype hunters, not dealing with the Nighthawks, the smart torpedoes or the Protonems. You can pretty much just line them up and just sit there, and especially if they're going through these fields. The other odd thing I've noticed is in the 150, they're programmed to sort of drive around in circles and then eventually come after you. But in the 152, if they haven't been hit before or it's on their first cycle, they seem to come right at you. You can see them from a distance and they're going to come directly at you, but it seems to act differently in different targets. But the 152s, they just seem to come, boom, right at you, and you can just line them up. You see them a mile away. Have anybody else noticed that?
Yeah, I've noticed they are behaving differently, and this is much worse repair than I generally get. But they're behaving differently in the targets.
Yeah. And also if they've been hit before, because I accidentally hit a 152 that had been hit before, and I took it was probably 20% killed, but everything had been activated. I have no idea. I think somebody tried to auto it, and I didn't realize it because it was hidden underneath other stuff. I took 20% more damage, 25% more damage, hitting a target that had been hit before because the prototype hunters were behaving differently. So let's move to the next slide. All right. Just a weaker version. Nothing too exciting. Does not have the ice field. So we can move on. All right. There was a change from the strategy guide till some point yesterday, where they've changed the damage type for the smart torpedo as it was in the VXP target back to explosive. Well, it was always explosive, but it was listed as concussive. So
I will point out that the strategy guide I made a few weeks before KIXI with my own information had this particular stat accurate.
Okay. Very true. Very true. But unless they say something, we can prove it different, sort of have to go with it. I mean, or at least consider it. So that's, but again, these Gatling guns, you need to stay away from them. They are quite nasty, especially if you're sitting still. They do splash, and you do have a lot of splash dispersion. So I guess if you're running past them, you're going to take less damage, but they have a fairly high projectile speed. So if you're moving, it's better, but just don't make them fire. They fire when they're surfaced, and you can outrange them by a range of about around 10. So yeah, don't mess with them. These are, the Nighthawks, I think, are the most deadly things in the targets, like I said before. Any more Nighthawk comments? Okay, we can move on. I think next is Protonation.
Probably worth noting there's not a huge amount of leeway with the Gatling guns with their depth charges either. You've probably got five or six, so just don't let them get too close to you at all.
Yeah, and if you can come up to them while they're submerged and follow their submerged versus merged cycle, switch over, use your flagship weapon, and they go down pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, let's move to the Protonation. I assume. Yep. Yeah, Derpy walked us through this a little bit earlier as far as the long-range ones are not counterable, but it seems like you can reduce damage by, as long as you stay perpendicular to their line of fire.
I think it's far easier for most people to just charge right in and get directly on top of them. I'll say that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's easier, but I've seen people also I've been playing with it, but you can, if you've reached like a plateau, if you feel like you're driving really well and you're trying to take a couple of minutes off your total damage, I would give it a shot as far as making sure you're going perpendicular to them and trying to, as long as you can do it. The 512 seems much more difficult to do that because you're speeding up and slowing down and all these other things. So, and Lego brings up a good point as far as what is everybody, if we start with the same next
If
time.
I was putting armors on right now and I had enough and I had tokens to refit, I would put on 4 explosive, maybe 3 explosive and 1 D5 EV actually for turn speed, but probably 4 explosive, even though I'm 2 and 2 right now.
Yeah, the risk is that they change it slightly next month.
Yep, hit the nail on the head there.
At the moment, I agree that if you drive well, you're not getting any concussive damage. So why have any concussive armors on? You've already.
And if I have tokens to change them now, I'll also have the tokens to change them on day 1 of next raid when it's still the same.
Yep.
And it's not like you're cutting yourself down to 0 concussive survival. You have a boatload, especially if you get up to U3 or X1 eventually.
Yeah. Well, X1, you've already got 100,000 or around 100,000 without having any armors on. So.
Yeah. So that's a good point. It's probably next time around, probably won't matter what armors you have on.
You'll probably have higher concussive resist than you do now, even if you take all your armors off.
Yeah.
Because I actually do want to just double check that. Right now, I have, I have 64K concussive survival. If I go up to X1, I add 50K, and I would drop off, 24K. Basically, yes, what I said was correct. If you go up to X1 and take off your armors, or even if you go from U2 to U3 and take off your armors, you'll still have higher concussive.
Yeah, and you're including in the auras, right?
I was not, so it would be. I was not, but they're applied in both situations, so it wouldn't matter.
Yeah. But as far as I was just thinking more as far as the percentage difference that the armors make.
Yes, I could calculate that if I felt like it, and I might go ahead and do that at some point in the next month or so.
Yeah.
I would be interested to see what someone with 4 explosive got on autoing the 150.
Yeah, I don't think that would be great.
I don't think it would be. I think it would still be majority explosive on the 150.
I've autoed. I mean, I've autoed a lot of 150s, and even after what I did with the tokens and getting, and I have the 5th ship at X1.
Yeah, I've been noticing
the 5th ship is dead, but
it dies very quickly.
Yeah, and that's from concussive, right?
Yes, that would be from concussive.
Yeah, because the problem is when you auto in, your ships tend to go straight towards the ships approaching you, so you're not using your side weapons.
Yeah. So those are blocking the concussive damage. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. As far as explosive wouldn't really help you in the auto thing, right? So, okay, TSM's testing the 4 explosives. Didn't you have 4 concussive on before?
He did, or he had 3 in one. He had 3 concussive, 1 explosive.
Okay. Alrighty.
Somebody had a video up with all explosive armors, and they were doing dock repairs.
What's that? Might have been Jerry.
Well, not on auto, because we're talking
No,
about.
no. Oh, you're talking about auto. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. It seems at this point, as long as you drive well, the avoidable damage is definitely concussive. But on auto, you're open yourself up to concussive. So,
yeah, it makes sense. I missed that. Sorry.
Oh, good. I don't know. Was there any? I think we're pretty much done with anything useful out of the slides. Is there? Open up the floor. Is anything else that we need to show or talk about?
Do we want to talk about the prizes a bit?
Oh, I want to talk about the prizes. Hold on. I need to get on my soapbox. I'm going to share my screen. Hold on.
Okay.
Give me a few minutes here.
Okay. Well, if you want to talk about the prizes, we can go to, well.
Hold on. This is different than that.
Okay.
I'll tell you that I put. I'll see if this works. In the pay attention to the very center of my screen, I put a list of about 2 to 3, maybe 4 dozen prizes that should be removed from the prize store. Things like this random assault missile for the Nemesis. Things like the radioactive sync drives or the Capulus cannons for your Dragoons. Allo Armor CL4. The Pylum rocket for Praetorians that everyone gets for free. Weapons for the Razor Tail. All these things should just be removed from the prize list. They shouldn't exist. They should.
Yeah, I think you should keep the Golden Eagle in there.
Ah, God damn it.
Yeah, okay. Because the prize list is large and unwieldy, or you think that people are going to accidentally buy them?
Or new players may be confused.
Yeah.
It's wasted space.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they even care enough to delete something off a list, but
okay. Let's see. As far besides taking things off the prize list, is there anything that people should be buying as opposed to not buying? That maybe, besides the obvious, with the upgrade tokens again.
Upgrade tokens for the current ship, the Ronin.
Yes.
As well as they added in upgrade tokens for the Photon ECM.
Okay.
Those are two of my goals at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you probably want to get upgrade kits for your Ronin flagship as well, because you would have only been able to get 130 before to get it to U3. So if you want to take it to X1, you need to get those.
Yep, so you'll need another 80 if you already have 130.
Yep.
Yeah.
Structure token. We don't have enough of them.
Well, maybe not. Go to slide 26.
One sec.
Now, it really depends on your timing on all this as far as when you want to do this. But if you take a look at, you get 20. Yeah, that's just for the flag. It's for the flag. That's a good point.
There's
for the
nothing
flag.
for the flag in the TLC, so I think you have to get them in the road.
Yeah, but as far as I completely agree. But as far as the normal Ronins, next week you're going to be able to get 20, 20, 80 plus. This is 280 kits for your normal Ronin. So keep that in mind as far as if you're sort of budget content.
Yep, that's what I do every single time. You need 640 kits to get 4 ships to X1. You get 280 in each of these TLCs the 2 times it's offered. So I pick up 80 the first pillage or first raid, and 280 in each of the 2 TLCs, and I have exactly the amount I need. So I won't get any this raid because I'll just get them next week for a TLC I'm doing anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, I'll be back in a second. Need to go stop something, so I'll be right back.
Would you target the structure build token if you don't have enough for the op?
I got it because my uranium factory is still very low level. It's actually up to level 3 now, but I picked that up. I always thought there were 2, and it does seem a bit expensive. And it may end up being that we have another 2 months before the outpost 14 or whatever we get. So outpost 13. So it may go to waste, but if you have the points, you might as well. Or you could.
It's a 2-day structure build token, isn't it?
Yeah. So you can get it and
hold
save
up
it
to
in
5
your.
of those, so
You can get it and save it in your inventory.
Yep. Yeah, I think if you haven't got any saved up, it might be worth getting. But I've got 5 out of 5 2-day structure build tokens at the moment already. So
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what I have. I have too many 7-day Thunderlord and Tempest and Thunderclap and Chimera turret build tokens.
just use your search function.
Oh, wait. No, I don't think I have any because I go to speed up on my uranium thing and there are none available. Yeah, I should start saving up. If you can hold 5 total, I definitely should have saved that up already because I'm fairly sure that the dock weight right now, the max dock weight is 400k. It's going to need to go up to 800k for the next raid fleet after Outpost 13. So I might be behind a little bit on that one.
Yep. Because what were our Gladiuses were 9.5. So the next raid is going to be tier 10, isn't it? Or the next
which could lead me to think that Outpost 13 is coming a little bit earlier than our data point of late February shows.
Yeah, because otherwise you're going to struggle to get your dock upgraded to have the increased weight, which I think is what happened last year, wasn't it? There was one raid where they had to tune it for.
Yeah, the first Punisher Mark II raid. I was using, I think, 5 really low partially built ships.
Yeah. So they're going to have to get the timing right on that one. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of people who won't necessarily have enough structure build tokens, or still upgrading their dock, or still upgrading their outposts that won't be able to send out a full fleet.
Well, it's a money generator. It says, hey, pay us $5, $10, $20 so you can have the dock to do the raid. I mean, it's a revenue source.
Yep.
I won't do it. I'll do it with 3 ships.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a lot of people will.
But that's why I think it's definitely get the structured build token if you can. Hold on to it. I think there's been one structure build token in pillage as well, and so you can start saving them up, so you're ready to speed up either your dock or your outpost as soon as possible.
Yep, that's a good one.
And I think you talked about it on the Wednesday show. The price of the mortar seems a little bit excessive.
Yeah, it in comparison to a few other things does look a little bit high.
I'll probably end up getting it because this rate is, for me, not a bad one. I've been autoing a lot of 150s.
What sort of time are you getting for repair on an auto in a 150 then?
I don't know. I just go to the fleet's dead. I think it's between 45 minutes and an hour.
And that's a U3 fleet, U3, U2 fleet, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the recommendation before it gets, after three or so, rotate your fleet, your fifth ship out of the position, and you can go longer.
Yeah, I haven't been doing that, so I've been running into issues where I could go take the one ship out of the fleet and come back, and I don't get quite as many targets done. But I'll pay more attention to that next time.
Yeah, because I've run it. I'm still like it. When I ran them straight through, I had like over 30% health, but it wouldn't let me hit anything because the fifth ship was dead. And so you're taking advantage of the auras and the weapons and why take out that part of your fleet. So yeah,
that's actually one thing that's worth mentioning. What's really an outdated mechanic now, that if your ship is still alive but only got less than 10%, you can't actually hit the target. Is it the submarine?
Yeah, too bad no one pointed out to them a month ago.
yeah.
Lord, the submarines lost their full health.
Say one more time.
From the dock, you can't launch the submarines unless they have full health.
It's not full health. It's it used to be full health, and they changed it to, is it 10%?
Mine's saying it's got to be full health.
I thought to launch them,
I thought it was 10%.
Yeah, I don't think it used to be at one point full health, but it says it's too damaged. But they changed that. They changed it at one point with like Barracudas and Nighthawks were sniping everybody, and it was full health for a little while, and then they changed it to, I think, 10%.
It is 10%. I can confirm that from the forum posts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like KB. So yeah, it's 10%. So yeah, which takes a while. At least we don't have the repair modifiers anymore on subs. That was the other way they tried to take them out, because they used to have that was the first way they tried it. They would have a 400% repair modifier, but that was back in the day when your repair was based on the amount of armor that you had. It was 1 second for every point of armor that you had on your ship. That was the old rule. But yeah, that's changed. Now it's there's only certain things you can add to a ship that will add it over, for PvE over the 3 hours. So, and they're normally older things, like you mentioned, Derpy, you mentioned the D5E. And TSM's getting, it's an hour and 20 minutes. So with the X1 photons for the 604. And we're getting information on what the crew is for that. So,
Grease monkey.
Yes. Yeah. Don't post any times on Discord or the forum or comms on your times if you're using a grease monkey. Oh, I got it done in 6 minutes. Why do you take 10? Yeah, that's not fair. But it happens quite a bit. No crew, not even a grease monkey. So okay. Yeah, but it's in regards to the sub thing. I mean, some people are saying it was, a PvE invention, even though players have bitched about the fact that people could put 5 seconds on each CUDA and go and just, shred all their ships. The subs of today are not the subs of yesterday. Everybody can see them. They're not really subs. They're not stealthy. You can't attack something without it seeing you. I don't quite, and you can't. I don't understand why we still have this requirement. I don't understand anymore. I mean, there's very few. I think Peter is the only one at Kickside that was back around. That's still on the BP team that was around at that point. But yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that we still have these sub issues, because even the Harrower, even if it have 1% health, it's going to die as soon as it surfaces. If it's got 1% health, because it needs the surface to shoot. I don't really see for any of them why you would still have these sort of constraints as far as launching or attacking.
Me neither.
So, is there any other issues that we should cover?
You're talking about battle pirates or personal issues?
I don't know. As far as they only allow cows to ride airplanes, with luggage, or I don't know. Probably the after show will leave it for that sort of issues. But anything related to battle pirates? What's going on this week?
Yeah, well, it's the things to look forward to next week. VXP weekend to get some Defender tokens, new Forsaken mission target, new siege armors in the FM, and the Return to Honor TLC again. So
yeah,
a lot of things.
Yeah, and like I said, keep your Ronin fleet up. If not for Return to Honor, for VXP, at least if you need the Defender VXP tokens, you may only need to keep them around for a couple of hours, but or you may be 100% stocked on Defender tokens, but you can only 95% of the players can only reasonably do these targets on the second VXP of the cycle. Once you've got your ships completely built, whatnot. Otherwise, the first go around, unless you're have stored up tokens, going to spend a lot of gold or whatnot, you're not really going to do that well on these targets. And I would, it's not a very efficient way to do it. But this upcoming VXP weekend, you may not need to rank anything up, but it's a good time to get the Defender tokens. So, but I guess I'll throw out the link again in case anybody wants to join, and add any last parting words or show up for the after show. And I still haven't got any. I did throw a question out to Kicksai as far as what we discussed earlier, as far as why not just add the base damage for the X1,
or say damage built-in X1 weapon damage plus 150%, or if it's plus 250%, right? Plus 250%. Don't create some other random stat.
Yeah.
Explain to us how it's different.
Yeah, if you're going to introduce a new stat, you should explain it. If you're going to, what is it? How is this different than just adding it onto the base? Because they did this not too long ago. What was it? Like 4 or 5 months ago? I think you referenced it at some point. today. There was one where they added a multiplier, but they didn't add it to the base damage, and I still don't understand that one.
I don't know what weapon you're talking about, but
okay. All right, Rolex. So it's bollocks with a little rock and roll involved. I'm not very sure. So, all right. Well, the link is out there, and we'll see you all on Wednesday when you never know who's going to be president. Could be me. Could be Derpy. So, we'll see you all then, and best of luck in the raid. And we'll see you on Wednesday.
Bye, everyone.
Later, people.
Have a fantastic weekend.